What's good, everybody? What's up, Knicks Nation? Dexter Henry, Bryan, Fonseca here. Another edition of New York Got Game Knicks Weekly Live, coming to you after the Knicks, who will be playing. They got their win the other night on Tuesday against the Toronto Raptors in the quarterfinals of the NBA Cup. They now will be playing in the semis in Vegas on Saturday. We'll have more on that later. It should be fun. Bryan, how you doing, man?
This legitimately feels like a rivalry now. You know that? Knicks Magic, like this season specifically, not all time or anything like that. This season,
I have Knicks fans who text me like, Magic are dirty. They play rough. They
that's
don't
when
like
you know.
them. It's
That's
not,
when you know.
yeah, it's not kind of like the same energy that you'll see around like the Heat, the other Florida team. But
It's getting there.
it's getting there. There's been some good games. I think a lot of it really stems back to last season and how the Magic kicked the Knicks' ass last season. And now, there have been some tough games.
They were good the year before that too.
And you know what I hear from Knicks fans too is like, the Magic give us trouble. I don't want to see them. The length, the physicality. We'll get into that. We have a good guest today that'll be joining us. Brandon Kravitz will be joining us. Voice of Magic Radio pregame show host. Also on 96.9 in Orlando. So it will be fun to talk to him about this. It's funny, we just did a preview for a Magic matchup a couple weeks ago, and now we're back here talking about this again. But an interesting week for the New York Knicks. The Knicks, who are hot, they've won 8 out of their last 9 games. They've won 4 in a row. This team is playing really good basketball right now. We talked about it the other night. Has it been perfect? No, they're without Desmond Bane. But there are some good things going on with the Knicks that I think the fans should be excited about. And look, you're the boxing guy. You're Mr. Super Boxing guy, Mr. I Love Violence, Bryan.
Mm-hmm.
I think, styles make fights. And very commonly overused boxing phrase.
Now we're talking.
But yeah, just don't tell Bryan about punching anybody in the face. But this is an interesting style for Knicks. And the Magic do give the Knicks problems. They can be physical. They have length. The teams just played on Sunday, so the Knicks will be trying to beat the Magic again for the second time in 4 days. If they try to get this win on Saturday. Teams played Sunday. There'll be no Franz Wagner in this one. But Desmond Bane, he's been cooking. Paolo Banchero is trying to get back into form. The Magic do have a lot of length. They do play physical. But this is another good matchup I want to see. The Knicks, also another chance for them to get a win away from the Garden that I want to see. The Knicks have not been great at home. They did get a good win in Toronto the other night. So I think there's some really good things that Knicks fans should be excited about. Let us know in the chat if you're tapped in. What are you excited about for this matchup? Do you consider the Orlando Magic rivals? Do they scare you at all? Do they put a little bit of fear in your heart? Are you scared to see them in a playoff series? Let us know how you're feeling about that. But Bryan, I'm excited about this matchup. I thought Sunday's game was a big one for the Knicks. I think you felt the same way too heading into that game. I thought it was a big one for the Knicks. The Knicks responded. I thought it was actually one of the Knicks' best wins of the season. I know Wagner went down. I get all that, but I thought the Magic so far back, they played physical. The Knicks showed some good play. And then you come after that, which I think is arguably one of the Knicks' best quarters of the season, which was the second quarter against Toronto. I think you could argue that's one of the best quarters. So when you look at some of the stuff in the last 2 games, I'm really excited about this matchup. Do you like this as a good test for the Knicks, especially if on the other side, the prize, if they win, could be the Thunder, could be the Spurs, probably the Thunder.
All due respect. And look, Wemby was questionable for the last game, didn't play. I mean, we'll see if he shows up this weekend. But yeah, this is what I like about the Cup. It does give more meaning to the regular season early on. This feels like, and I could use this because you teed me up with the boxing analogy, and it's on a Saturday when big fights usually take place. This feels like a big fight, Dex. This feels like a big fight. We're gonna see. It's not Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, but it's something. It feels like a meaningful game we're about to see, especially because these two teams already have history this year. This is the 4th time they're gonna play each other already.
Yep.
Inside of the first 2 months of the NBA season, this is the 4th time these two teams are gonna play each other already this year. And I believe the last time, as a matter of fact. So that's interesting to note, given that there's a chance that they play each other in the playoffs. We talked about it. Like maybe this is the 2-3, maybe this is the 1-4, 1-5. If Detroit's the 1 seed, like it's very possible these two are 2 and 3, depending on how Orlando navigates Franz Wagner's injury and potentially, other injuries along the way for either team. So this is big. Like Orlando won the first two. We were at the first one. We were both at the first one. The first one was November 12th, the second of a back-to-back, in which the Knicks honestly lost that game the night before, playing around with their food against Memphis, where they had a great first half. Excellent first half. And then in the second half, a near 30-point lead became an 11-point lead in the fourth quarter. Memphis cut it back despite Ja Morant having an awful, I think it's 8 turnovers in 16 minutes, something like that. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but you and I were just looking at each other on press row, to use the hacky phrase, and being like, yo, like this is the worst we've seen Ja Morant look in a long ass time. But then the next game against the Magic, you have the opportunity there with Paolo Banchero leaving early due to injury, but then Orlando goes on a run and they're beating the Knicks by 20 for a decent chunk of that second half before finishing them off. And then the Knicks played, I thought, one of their worst defensive games of the year in the rematch a week and a half later, that Saturday, a couple weeks ago at this point, November 22nd. But then the Knicks get it back with, I thought, was one of their best defensive efforts last week. The one that you just referred to on Sunday, where they beat the Orlando Magic 106-100. And at the end, it got a little dicey there again, but I felt very comfortable about how they performed all the way through. So this one feels big. No Franz Wagner, no Mo Wagner either. Still, ACL recovery. He may come back at some point this year, though. And for the Knicks, no Deuce McBride, who we just learned earlier today, out for at least a week. We'll see, potentially longer. And Landry Shamet, who's out for a while because of the shoulder injury. We may talk a little bit more about, the Knicks kind of getting thinner at guard now for this matchup. And Jalen Suggs, enjoys playing against this team. But there's a lot of interesting matchups both ways. And the main thing to sort of look for, and we'll talk to our guest Brandon Kravitz about this, is how does Orlando navigate this now with Paolo and without Franz Wagner? Because there are some metrics that suggest with Franz and without Paolo, they've been better than with Paolo and without Franz. But Paolo's still a hell of a player. There's just some things beneath that they're going to have to navigate through, but they're good. Both teams, I think both teams are really going to go for this on Saturday. I'm excited.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited for this one. It's good. And, we asked some people in the chat, do you think this is a rivalry between the Knicks and the Magic? And Kevin Grant 695 says, absolutely. The Magic handles the Knicks more than not. Cat folds up against this team. Watch, he'll be in foul trouble looking for a way out. Now, look, Cat did not play. Cat did not play in the last matchup. He missed that with a hamstring injury on Sunday, so we didn't see him there. I thought Cat had one of his better defensive games on Tuesday against the
Raptors. Yeah,
he had 16 boards. It was a really strong showing. But he was definitely strong defensively. And it's like, man, if he played like defense, I know he had 4 fouls in that game. There were a couple that were cat fouls. But if he can play that way, it'll have the Knicks fan base a little bit happier about that. I just thought he moved his feet well. He challenged some things. He had a really nice block in that game. That's the thing you'd like to see from him. But Kevin Grant 695, I just want to tell you, you're not tripping. We understand.
Listen,
I understand where you're coming from.
I pulled up the numbers as a refresher because I don't think Cat's looking for a way out, but I do. He has struggled against this matchup before, and the counting stats won't indicate that. But if you remember, like the first 2 games against Orlando this year that he played were very uneasy, and then last year there was a 22-22 game that would do a lot of heavy lifting, but he could finish a lot better than he has in this matchup. He only has 1 game where he shot above 46% from the field in this matchup. So
yeah.
And Paolo's going to bring a level of physicality. The entire team is going to bring a level of physicality, and they're going to attack Cat and Brunson. And that's a byproduct of the Knicks not doing the double big experiment anymore, which I don't blame Mike Brown the way that Mitchell Robinson's looked. We may talk about that, but yeah, I mean, this is a big somebody help Jalen Brunson spot, because we saw what Jalen Brunson did on Tuesday. And Wingstop played well too. Great defensive effort from Mikal Bridges and from OG Anunoby. But
particularly in that second quarter,
yeah, I mean, look, I don't think this is one that Jalen Brunson could just win on his own. I think Orlando's better than that. So
yeah, I would be inclined to agree. But let's talk about those Magic. We are going to do it with our special guest. His name is Brandon Kravitz. He's a host on 969 The Game down in Orlando. Also, the voice and host on the Orlando Magic Radio pregame show. Brandon joins us now. Brandon, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm excited that of the 4 teams that remain in this NBA Cup, that we've got 2 that we cover as closely as we do, and we can keep this thing rolling because it's been a fun tournament so far.
Nah, man, it has been. So, it's funny. You said it's a fun tournament, and I've been doing this with everybody comes on with any NBA Cup coverage. Are you a fan of the NBA Cup, or were you a hater of the NBA Cup when it first started, or did you has it grown on you? Like, where's Brandon on the NBA Cup?
Nah, I've always liked it. I like novelty in sports, and it's not like it impacts, and it doesn't get in the way of anything. It's not like these breaks that some of the soccer leagues across the world will take. All of a sudden they break off, and there's international duty, and it interrupts a regular season. The MLS deals with that all the time. This is part of the regular season. It's just a dressed up version, and there's only 2 teams that even play an extra game in all of this. So between the fun courts that, by the way, the Magic aborted the last time. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the NBA Cup court was not a part of the equation against the Miami Heat.
I didn't even think about it. It's like I saw it and it didn't even register for me. But I didn't think. Do you know why? Do you know why they did that?
The people I've talked to say that it got damaged. I don't know if whether that's true or not, or if it was like damaged, like the players didn't like it. Because I've heard this across the league that players are not a fan of these courts because of the paint job on them. They're a little more slick than your basic parquet. So
Luka said this,
yeah. I do wonder if it was damaged or if it was damaged. Yeah.
And you know what? I wouldn't blame the Magic if they were like, "Hey, we've been having some injuries lately. We can't afford to take another one here in this cup game."
You see what I'm saying? Why I kind of buy the tinfoil hat on this because and no one got hurt on that court. To be fair. In fact, everybody's getting hurt at MSG, ironically enough. When Paolo went down, it was in Madison Square Garden. When Franz went down, it was in Madison Square Garden. So this is more of an MSG problem than it is a Kia Center problem. But still, if you're worried about guys staying healthy and they've said anything about the floor being too slick, it's like, forget it. I'm just surprised the NBA didn't have an issue with it because this is all part of their branding of that novelty and of the cup feeling different. Is the courts is part of what
something tells me, Brandon, that whoever is in charge of this on the Magic of reporting this to the NBA, they told them like 3 hours before tip off. And it's like, what are you gonna do at that point? And it's the last game they can use it this season. It's the last game they were gonna use it this season. You're never gonna bring it out again. So the NBA can't be mad at it. They have to just kind of roll with it. You know what I mean? They just gotta
exactly. Yeah, we did have a lot of rain. We had like one of those days where it just rained for 24 hours a couple of days before the cup. So maybe I don't know if I doubt they're leaving this thing outside, but still, maybe there was a leak somewhere.
You never know. I have to mention one of our regular viewers here. Shout out to our guy East Blue Drew. He says that our court, the MSG court, is innocent.
In all caps,
not taking any charges against the MSG court for causing injuries. He says the court's innocent. He just wants you to know, Brandon. He just wants you to know.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that it wasn't so much the court as it was who
Ariel Hukporti blocked the shot. Yes.
Hukporti, that's right. Yeah. And these guys know each other from the German team too. You'd think you wouldn't do
this is true. You know what? Before we get into some other stuff, could we I was at the game on Sunday. What was your boy Desmond Bane thinking throwing the ball at OG Anunoby? What was that about?
This is like his finishing move now. Like I picture like he's a character in Mortal Kombat, and it's like, finish him.
Boom.
Nate wins. That's kind of what it feels like. Because it's not the first time this year he's done that. And we're only a quarter of the way through the season. Like the fact that we haven't gotten to Christmas yet, and there are more than one stories of Desmond Bane throwing basketballs at people. He did it against, I think it might have been Nickeil Alexander-Walker, one of the guys on the Hawks. that he drags, and that was much more of a hard foul. Like he was trying to stop a bucket, so he went with the hard foul, grabbed the arm, and then took the ball as he's headed towards the floor, spins around. If you haven't seen this, it's so impressive. What he did to OG Anunoby was just literally chuck a ball at another. Was in one fell swoop, he committed a foul, grabbed the basketball, spun around, and then spiked it on a Hawks player. It was very impressive. But the fact that he's done this twice now, and I've heard from some Grizzlies fans that I think he did it in Memphis too. This is what
he does?
Yeah, there's an entire compilation of him getting into it with other people, and in a few of those instances, he is throwing something or getting in somebody's face. Which, I mean, if you have Desmond Bane's arms, I feel like you would think you can get in people's faces. So that I understand.
All right, well, I gotta go find this. I gotta go find this compilation because now I find this.
It's hilarious. Magic fans are in love with it now. There was a debate after the first time he did it of like, is this cool? Is this not cool? And now Magic fans are all in on this.
Knicks fans don't love it. Knicks fans don't love it at all.
The funniest part was, and thankfully nobody got injured, at least in this incident. The funniest part was because it didn't register to me until I rewatched it when they showed the replay. He wasn't falling out of bounds at all.
No, not even close.
It was not even. I'm like, why
does he didn't get kicked out of the game? Like, you can just chuck basketballs at people and it's a tech. That's the same penalty as dropping a curse word to a referee.
I agree.
Chucking a ball at somebody.
I could not agree more.
OG was confused. Like, you could tell OG like doesn't want to fight. Not to say OG is like soft or whatever, but you could tell he was more confused than anything. Like, what? You weren't even falling. Like, what? But I do think there are some, like, if that happens to Isaiah Stewart would be waiting outside of Desmond Bane's hotel right now.
Yeah.
Like,
I will say this. If you can get the same penalty, because I think Brandon brings up a really good point here. If you can get the same penalty that you do for just cursing at the ref, why would I not throw a ball at somebody? Why not? I just do it again. I just do that again. Why? I'd have no problem doing it again. But
Drew says, "Where's Chris
why he keeps doing it?"
Yeah, but let's do this. Let's talk some Knicks versus Magic. Brandon, as somebody who's one of the voices around this team, when you look at this Magic team and where they're trying to go and what they're trying to do, what do you think a deep run, or even this where they are right now in the semis in NBA Cup, what do you think this can do for the Magic team, or even if they get to the finals, or dare I say win it as well too? Do you think a deep NBA Cup run bodes well for this Magic team and where they want to go long term?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can look back at the last couple of seasons, and it has done that for other franchises. Just getting that taste of winning games where it's win or be eliminated, and there's money on the line, so there's true incentive to this. I know these are rich individuals, but even for people that have money, 200, 500K that's a nice little bonus check to get. And these guys want it. And the Magic have been talking about that hell since media day. When I've talked to players, they've to a man have talked about how much they want to win this thing. So whether that's just for the competitiveness of it or for the dollars, and then having that desire to win something extra and then make it further can only build confidence moving forward. Look at what this has done for the Pacers. I know it wasn't that same year,
right?
But that was Tyrese Halliburton's coming out party in the NBA, the original, the first year of the in-season tournament when they played LeBron and the Lakers. Then last year, it wasn't the coming out party for OKC, but it was the first step on their ride to a championship. They hadn't won the title yet. A lot of us, including myself, which sounds really stupid now, I debated whether or not this team had what it took to really get over the hump in the playoffs. Was this just a great regular season team? And I think winning the cup is one of those things that for them instilled confidence of, yeah, when the game is win or go home, that we have what it takes to be better than our opponent. So I think that it's kind of about that. It's more of like a coming out party. I don't know if you guys are wrestling fans, but it kind of feels like winning the Intercontinental Championship or like the King of the Ring. Like it's not, but that's kind of what it feels like.
That's a great comparison.
Oh my God. You now have excited Bryan in a way that you don't even know, Brandon. You have no idea what you've just done. No idea.
Fantastic.
To be fair, I do watch less wrestling now, for other reasons.
Same.
But like
we just don't have the time. We've got too much other stuff going on.
That's part of it.
Fair.
Also, there's a lot of questionable activities in terms of what's going on at the top of the WWE right now. But we don't have to get into that right now. John Cena's last match, my ass. But last match is this weekend. He'll be back in 10 years. Don't worry about it.
Oh my God!
I mean, I could do a whole podcast on that. I haven't watched any of his final.
Nobody retires from rap. And nobody retires from wrestling. I've told Dex this for 10 years.
Yes, you have said this. You have said this. And you're right. Somebody will come back. What would you say, Brandon, is Orlando's identity right now? Is it their physicality defensively and the length that it can provide and sort of just leaning into that, and we're going to make life tough for other teams? Because when you talk to Knicks fans, this is what they hate about the Magic right now, beside your boy throwing balls at people. But they just hate the length and the physicality, and it's just the Magic feel like they're annoying. They're just there. Is it that? And is this team buying into Jamal Mosley probably preaching that, hey, this is how we're going to play?
Yeah, absolutely. This team takes pride on defense. It's one of the things that Desmond Bane has mentioned is what surprises him the most about this team. And it was a not so subtle shot at Ja Morant. It was after one of their games like a week ago where he said, what's amazing about this team is that every guy on the roster wants to go up against the best offensive player on the other side of the court. I've never played, this were his words. He said, I've never played with especially a star that wants to take on the best offensive player on the other side. I think he was trying to compliment Franz, but all I took was, wow, did you just throw Ja Morant under the bus?
Yep,
as somebody who played with Jaren Jackson Jr., former defensive player.
Well, that's the thing, is I feel like that does describe Jaren Jackson Jr. Like, he is that guy. But that was obviously a shot.
Or maybe describes them both unfavorably. I would say. Do you think Brandon, that they're back to their level of physicality? Because for people who don't know, we also work together on an Action Network where we do buckets every day, basically, and we're on a lot together. And we've talked about Orlando's slow start, but now it feels like they've kind of, without Paolo, they've kind of found who they want to be again. But
yeah,
now Paolo's there in Franz's house. So
that's Bryan, and that's the interesting part about where this team is at right now. Because if you look at last year, they started off hotter than they started this year. But when they really found themselves was when Paolo was out. They went 14-2 with Franz as the star on this team, and that was also without Desmond Bane, obviously, because they didn't have him yet. And then Paolo came back, and then Franz was out, and the team wasn't quite as good. And then they played together, but then Jalen Suggs was out, so the defense took a hit. So there were all these different components. It feels like the same thing's playing out this year, where the team found themselves with Franz as the star, and then Paolo comes back, and now Franz is missing. And I do worry that the defense over time is going to take a hit. It didn't against the Miami Heat, but there's just no way that the defense improves with Franz off the floor, because that's the one thing that Franz can do really well that I don't think Paolo has in his repertoire, which is lock down an opposing wing on defense. At Franz, if you look at the EPM for these players, Franz is better than Paolo is. Paolo has more of an offensive bag, but in terms of the difference offensively between Franz and Paolo on offense is minimal. And I think it is edge Paolo, but it's small. The difference between Franz and Paolo defensively is a wide gap, and it's pro Franz. So if you're judging who's more important to this team, I'm not trying to create a divide between these two. I just think that this is the reality, is that the team needs Franz in order to be as physical and as dominant defensively. And if that wasn't their key trait, then Paolo would be the more important player. But that is how they have to succeed, is by shutting you down, especially in the half court. And I worry about that taking a hit with Paolo at the helm and Franz out.
Has Paolo said anything about the noise that, this team is better without me, or this team is better with Franz? And because this is something.
That's the thing. I want to be clear. I don't think only the idiot fans are actually saying the team is better without Paolo. The team isn't
and
better
some
without
people
Paolo.
and
But
some
I do
people in
think
national
Franz,
media too.
which is I mean, that's just a dumb thing to say. That the team is so you're telling me you'd rather, because Tristan da Silva was starting in the spot that Paolo was in. You'd rather have Tristan da Silva than Paolo Banchero? I mean, come on.
No,
that's a
I do
ridiculous.
like Tristan. I do like
say it.
Tristan. I do like Tristan da Silva. Yet another reason the Magic should trade for Dennis Schroeder, because you have like a quarter of the German national team. But
oh my God, it's just such an obvious move. But I do think Franz is more important to the identity of this team. So that's the label that I am willing to put on it, is that for what the Magic want to be, which is defense first, well, then your best player better be a hell of a defender. And that's not Paolo's strong suit. Paolo's a little more Carmelo Anthony and not as much Kevin Garnett.
Do you think, because I do think the conversation, and Brian's right about that, Brandon, has become the team is better without Paolo, right? You're shooting down that notion. But do the Magic need more from Paolo to get to where they want to get? Like, and maybe it's offensively, maybe it's a versatility offensively, maybe shooting the three a little bit more. He's trying to cut back on some of those long twos we've seen from him in the last couple of years, right? He's trying to get that out of his diet. Do they need more from defensively, offensively, just overall? Do they need more from Paolo?
Paolo's still a big body. It's not like he's a bad defender. It's just not his key trait. And it's not anything that he's never going to be on an all defensive team. I think Franz could actually get to the point where he's on, say, the all defensive third team. But yeah, they need more from Paolo. He's got to be a better outside shooter. If he is going to reach the heights that we think he can reach, he's got to be a little bit more like Jason Tatum. And Tatum's three ball he was a better shooter coming out of Duke than Paolo was in terms of long range, but he wasn't as good as he is now. And that's something that Paolo just needs to develop, even just to keep a defender honest, because he can take anybody off the dribble and then he'll use his body and his size to get to the rim. He's great at drawing fouls. And I do think he could do a better job of moving without the basketball. Part of the reason why the half-court offense tends to stick when he's on the floor is because he just kind of stands and waits for the ball to find him, and then he goes ISO. And he's not great at it's just such a movement game, and I think things tend to slow down with him. So those are two things that I think instantly he could get better at: movement without the basketball, three-point shooting. It's hard to do that on the fly in the middle of the season. But when he adds that to his repertoire offensively, then I think he's really going to hit that next phase. The thing I will say about him in terms of the positive end, and we've seen this part of the reason why when he came back the team didn't dip off, is that he's not a selfish player. I said that he's got a little mellow in him in terms of just the style in which he plays. He's not the selfish player that Carmelo Anthony was. He's a very willing passer.
The chat will love this.
Like he doesn't need volume, but if you give him the ball, like he's gonna find a way to try and get a bucket. So
yeah, the chat's gonna come for you, Brandon. You came out.
I forgot where I was for a second.
Yeah. You got a little too comfortable. But Brandon, let me also ask you this, because I feel like one of the similarities the Knicks and the Magic have in the last couple of years is they both gave up a lot of picks to get a player, and some people criticize the cost of that player. And so 4 picks, first-round picks for Desmond Bane. People are like, why is that? Oh, you giving all that up for Desmond Bane? But I think if you watch with Franz going down, I saw this on Sunday at MSG, Desmond Bane is looking like an elite shot creator right now. The way he's be able to create shots, and we saw this on Tuesday against Miami, puts up a 37-piece. Did you feel like Bane was worth the picks? And are we seeing the benefits of it now, especially when one of the Magic stars are out in Franz Wagner?
Yeah, big time. The Magic would not have, I think they hit 15 threes the other night. No chance they're doing that last year, especially with one of their stars down. Not that Paolo and Franz are efficient three-point shooters, but the offense would just take such a dive when one of those guys would be off the floor. It would have to be all defense. They'd be winning games like 98-91. And he just raises the level of the floor of this offense, especially when the three ball's there. The thing I did not appreciate enough about Desmond Bane, it's not like I didn't watch Grizzlies games while he played for the team. I watch Magic games through such a different lens of like watching such granular detail of every single play. I didn't realize how good he was around the cup. He is so crafty with that little scoop layup. He can really get around anybody, and he drives with confidence. I always thought of him as a guy that could do that, but was more of a 3-point shooter. He uses that to get his game going. And when the 3 ball's there too, I think he's the best well-rounded offensive player on the team now, even with Paolo and Franz.
In his last 15 games, 22, 5 and 5, basically, with a touch of rounding, but 22, 5 and 5. 46% from the field, 38 from 3, 97 on free throws, and they're 11 and 4 during that stretch. So it's not just he's putting up the numbers as other shooting guards in the league have done, and their team isn't winning games. They're actually 11 and 4 during the stretch. So I do think there's something to his importance too, and that's kind of what they traded for. I feel like, and yeah,
I say F the picks. I'm on the F the picks campaign.
Dex says this about Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, because
not every Knicks fan agrees with you.
Not everybody agrees with me, but I guess what else? I don't know how you feel about this, Brandon. Maybe it's the same thing because you said it. You were with it at the time. What are the odds that one of those picks will be as good as what Desmond Bane can give you right now for where the team is trying to go? And again, I feel like you've seen this play off, particularly when Franz has gone down or Paolo's gone down. And Bane started off this season slow, so we can acknowledge that. But then he started picking it up. You know, when he had that game winner, I feel like everything has been going up since then. That was a crazy game winner. Who was that against again? Was that against
Portland?
Portland, yes. That was crazy. I think things have been picking up for him. But yeah, man. I don't know. Hey, East Blue Drew in the chat. He's not scared of him. He says nobody's worried about T-Rex arms unless they throw a ball in.
I think people have to remember too when it comes to the picks. This was left out of the discussion too often. There was 4 first-round picks traded along with Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. The Memphis Grizzlies had to get a first-round pick in order to take that contract. So part of the trade was just getting Memphis to take the Magic signed a bad deal. That was a bad free agent contract the year prior. So they had to give in order to get him off the books. Good point. But really, it was Desmond Bane for 3 first-round picks. And here's KCP. Will you please take him? Here's a first-round pick for doing so.
It's a great point there.
Let me ask you this, Brandon. Because if this were 1998, I feel like we'd be talking more about Anthony Black, potential most improved player candidate. But we're at a different place with the award. But Anthony Black, how real is this? Is what I want to ask you, because he looks like a legitimate top 7 role players and top 7 on your depth chart that you can trust in a playoff series. Like we always talk about how you need to be able to trust 7 guys in a playoff series, and you'll play 8. Maybe now it's more like play 10 and trust 8 because you got to go deeper into the bench. But Anthony Black looks legitimate, and the last level or the next level, I think for me, is the jump shot. That still hasn't come along consistently, but it does look better, and he's putting up more attempts. But I like them coming into the draft, and I think he's developing quite nicely this year. He looks like a real dude.
I think it's just the consistency on offense, and it's nice that the jump shot's there, but he can get it. He can get to the rim, and he's a lot faster than I realized coming out of Arkansas. I think speed is an underrated attribute for him. And so he really helps in terms of their transition offense, which has been a huge point of contention for Jamal Mosley. A lot of pace conversations going on here in Orlando, Florida this year about the team trying to get faster. And really what that means is it's not like heat fast, or it's just even off of a make, we're just going to run as fast as we can and shoot the ball early in the shot clock. A lot of that speed and pace and tempo that the team wants to play with is off of misses and mostly off of turnovers. The Magic were a bad transition team last year, and he helps them a lot in that area. But to me, it's a confidence issue. Anthony Black is just not the same guy night after night. And you can say that about a lot of role players, but if you're going to count on him in a playoff series, he's got to be more consistent, because those, like, just looking at his game log, like the 2 for 10s, the 2 for 9s, those pop up far too often, and he just can't have those. So, I mean, the guy's Defenders will leave him open from 3. It's nice if he knocks one down, but this to me is just more about aggressiveness with him, because sometimes it feels like he's too passive and he can't be successful that way.
Yeah, and looking at the roster, and I do like. We have a comment here from Eastwood Drew that I think is an interesting one. He says, "I do think this Cup tournament is going to determine what moves we make in the trade deadline, whether we win or lose." And I feel like San Antonio and Orlando can say something similar, and maybe even some of the teams that were just eliminated, like the Heat and Lakers, because this is as close to playoff atmosphere as you'll get, at least until March, let's say. And with Orlando, because you're chasing the Knicks, and Detroit technically in the standings, although neither core has won a playoff series yet. But you're essentially chasing the Knicks and also chasing the Cavs, who maybe they'll play better at some point. But they've at least won a playoff series with their core. But you have an interesting team who I think is really, really competitive and can win a playoff series, potentially 2. And there's a world where there's a third one there. But it does feel like there are guys short in terms of the playoff rotation. Like I probably would feel a little bit better about it if there was like a somebody else I could trust, because you have Franz, you have Paolo if healthy, obviously. Desmond Bane, Wendell Carter Jr. is your center right now. Anthony Black, who I just talked up. Jalen Suggs, who I think maybe we should talk more about. But since he's been getting the minutes uptick, he's looked really good. A high-level two-way player who Matt Moore and I thought could have won Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago. Like, that's how good he was before he got injured last year. Tristan Da Silva, who's a real floor spacer, whose game I've always liked. And Goga Batadze, who I think is like your ideal backup center. But then from there, Tyus Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, when you see somebody's PRA at 9.5, and you're like, I'm gonna make money on the under, it's not a great spot for Tyus Jones this year. And then Jonathan Isaac, you can't play him but 10 minutes. Jet Howard doesn't really look that playable. So it feels like there are guys short. And do you think they're going to be active between now and February, regardless of this result in the NBA Cup?
Yeah, and I do think I really like Jace Richardson. He's a rookie, and
I like him too. Actually,
he's so raw, but he kind of plays like a vet out there.
Yeah,
but he's still too young to rely on. As we're talking about a deep playoff run here, and I don't think a rookie drafted in the 20s is going to be the guy that gets you over the hump. But the fact that when you see him out there, and
know something about that.
You see that spark. Like, obviously there is something missing from the rest of the rotation. So I agree. I just don't know how they get that guy. Because they've already sold a lot of their assets in order to build the team that they have here. So unless you do the whole buyout market thing, and I just don't know who that player is. A lot of people are clamoring for Chris Paul. I don't think that's the answer.
Good luck with that.
There is one other piece. I do think that with the roster they have right now, because of the state of the Eastern Conference, this isn't me being a total homer. It's just more of a realist for where the East is. I think the Magic could win the East with the roster they have right now.
All right,
Jonathan Isaac for Dennis Schroeder. Call Sacramento. See if they want any pick compensation, because Jonathan Isaac's contract is long, but they're the Kings, so maybe it's just a second or two. And you have built-in chemistry with Schroeder, with the Wagner twin. Mo Wagner will come back at some point. Like, that's not nothing, actually. He's a really good player.
Huge. I mean, honestly, I forget about that all the time because he's been gone so long. But maybe that's the guy. I know that we're probably talking about more guard play, but still, just having somebody else that can provide an offensive spark off the bench for an offensively challenged team, because that's what he does. He was a 6-man candidate before he got hurt.
I just want the Magic to get Dennis Schroeder, and I want the Knicks to get Jose Alvarado, so I can just be all right. Great. I want these two to play each other in the playoffs, in the semifinals, or the conference finals.
I love seeing them go head to head. So when you look at this matchup, Brandon, Knicks versus Magic, 5:30 on Saturday evening. What do you think of the keys on both sides? What are the things you're really looking at both? If the Magic do this, they'll win. If the Knicks do this, they will win. What do you think about this matchup?
I think if the Magic do a good job of limiting the role players and just letting Brunson cook and nobody else get involved, if he can get up to 35 and the Magic can be just fine as long as it's not corner three all over the place. They did a really bad job in the last game they played against New York of guarding against those. So I think that's going to be the key. Those guys getting involved in that way, the OGs of the world. The Magic did a really good job against the Knicks the first two meetings, but a couple of factors that aren't necessarily going to be at play here. Franz has been cooking this team, and obviously he's not available. The Magic, the first time they played the Knicks, it was on the second night of a back-to-back for New York, so schedule advantage, and the Magic had a couple of days of rest, so it was a huge schedule advantage. It was just one of those scheduled loss spots for the Knicks. Then they came to Orlando. It was like, okay, this is more of a fair matchup here. Well, Landry Shamet gets hurt. 3 minutes into the game, separates his shoulder. OG Anunoby wasn't playing in that game, so that was not 100% Knicks team, and they gave up a $133 against the Magic. But again, that was Franz cooking in that game. He had 37. So they have to get an offensive pop from somebody else. Paolo needs to play closer to a star level, and if you can possibly get Desmond to that 30 range, you're not going to beat this team by completely shutting them down. So there's going to have to be an offensive spark somewhere. I would look for that to be one of the main keys is that those stars need to show up and the corner threes cannot be knocked down routinely from the New York Knicks if the Magic are going to win this game. And just don't get dominated on the glass. You can lose the rebounding battle, but the Knicks have a way of kind of running away with it in that regard between Cat and Mitchell Robinson, as you guys well know.
Yeah. You know what? I think those keys are good. I want to say that I got to ask you this before we run.
Word of advice, just put Mitchell Robinson at the free throw line. You'll be fine.
Oh, God.
That's not a bad idea either. Key to the game is Hack-a-Mitch.
Hack-a-Mitch. You might see Jamal Mosley go with this. Do you a lot of Knicks fans, I've heard this, they think the Magic are dirty. What do you say to that? Are they beating the allegations? I mean, hey, man.
Wolf Perry in the chat says the Magic are never healthy because they play football.
So also,
don't we love that? What happened to Knicks fans? What happened? I thought Charles Oakley was your guy.
They like rough and tough. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I do think there are some Knicks fans who complain a little bit too much about the physicality. Like, just give it back. You know, I think it's because they know this Knicks team is a little bit more finesse.
You guys once had a coach hanging on a player's foot. Like, what are we talking about here?
You know,
hey man, they're out here calling you dirty. That's all I'm saying. They're calling the Magic dirty. And East Blue Drew says this one is for Shamet on Saturday.
I mean, it's a hard screen. It happened.
Knicks fans have done this to Bam too because of screens in the past, and with Jaime Jaquez because that's how Julius Randle popped out his shoulder was on a charging call, where he kind of just ran into Jaime Jaquez in midair. Just trying to draw a charge, and then we had the whole like, oh, so they banned the charge conversation, and it's like, no, the charge is a basketball play. Just don't fucking run into people like you're playing football. As a matter of fact, I don't think there's an NBA team that's like dirty. Although I don't think the Magic. I think the Thunder would probably be an interesting conversation for some people because they do.
Well, yeah,
I
think there are dirty players, not dirty teams.
I agree with that. I think there's dirty players like Grayson Allen. Dirty. You know what I'm saying?
By the way, I had my one bet last night was Grayson Allen under 15.5 points. He had 10 in the third quarter and then gets kicked out of the game.
Great job. Great job there. Now, well, everybody, that is Brandon Kravitz. Check him out on 969. Sorry, I don't want to get that right. I don't want to say the fan.
The game.
Here. 96.9 the game.
96.9 the game. I knew it wasn't the fan.
And on buckets on Action Network, 11:15 p.m. Monday
tonight,
through Thursday.
By the way, hosting tonight's episode, so we will preview the 7-game Friday slate.
And also, he'll have the pregame responsibilities for the Magic on the radio on Thursday. Brandon, this was good, man. I'm not going to call you dirty. I'm just going to give you some advice. Don't go out there throwing any balls at people like it's dodgeball. That might not work out well for you.
That was a little dirty. That was admittedly.
That's why I said dirty players, not dirty teams. But I apologize to all the Carmelo Anthony fans out there. Please forgive me.
Good job by you. Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate you, man.
See you guys.
Appreciate it.
All right, man. Once again, that is Brandon Kravitz. Great job.
I want on record. I am a Carmelo Anthony defender around these parts. I've called Paolo Banchero a clunky Carmelo Anthony before. But
I got his points with the Carmelo. comps, I do think Carmelo was actually more of a willing passer than people give him credit for. Yes. I did think there was always a world in which he could average more assists a game, so I understood he left a lot to be desired in that, but like I did think he was more of a willing passer than people gave him credit.
Unfortunately, Melo didn't have Leon Rose.
People should say more about that. History doesn't reflect that all the time.
You know, like I think that we've talked about
Melo didn't trade people for Andrea Bargnani. I got so disgusted by thinking about it, I couldn't even say it. Andrea Bargnani.
I do. It's funny. Before our hot takes episode, which you should check out, where we tried the spicy food or whatever, I thought of a couple historical ones, but we tried to keep it current. But one of the takes that I did have, or not a take, but I was formulating, were like, there's a world where they could have won the East had they not do the Andrea Bargnani trade and instead go after LaMarcus Aldridge, who was reportedly like starting to maybe, you know, ask out or get the feeling he was about to ask out in Portland. And then there was, remember the Kyle Lowry rumor a long time ago where the Knicks maybe could have gotten him, but they didn't end up doing it. And then Kyle Lowry popped off and I was like, man, Melo, Kyle Lowry, LaMarcus Aldridge. But, you know, it is.
Yeah, I won't talk about that. And yeah.
And maybe don't trade Tyson Chandler for Samuel Dalembert and stuff.
Yeah, we really did that. Damn. All right. Well, that was real, so we don't have to go back to that. But we're going to do edition of Real or Not. We're going to keep it moving here. Edition of Real or Not before I get out of here. Real or Not. I forgot. I meant to do this, and I forgot to like send this to our producer Tommy to put up so people can see this. But Bryan sent me a text this morning, which it's
in the doc if you want to grab it real quick, Tommy.
I think this was Bryan's first or second clip. Yeah, Tommy, if you can grab it in the doc and bring it up to share as a link, you can do it. I actually don't see it in our doc, but
I thought it was there.
That's okay. Anyway, yeah, it's not there, Tommy. It's all good. One of Bryan's first texts me this morning was a tweet from Tommy says he wants to see it. Bryan, you filibuster while I get this for Tommy.
Okay.
Hold on.
Okay. So we do have, you know, as I'm gonna filibuster here for Real or Not, East Bluger did call this a dark days, what I just mentioned. And I was like, man, like I had really been legitimately thinking about this the other day, but I don't know. I feel like I think about the early to mid 2010s Knicks a little bit too much because I felt like there could have been a longer run there, as we've talked about, Dex, the post Chris Duhon era, and you know, it kind of was what it was. I do think that there you could now, if you wanted to play hindsight, you could be like, oh, Kyle Lowry wouldn't have become Kyle Lowry if he had gone there or whatever, but he would have been better than Raymond Felton. Would be my pushback. That version of him anyway. So yeah. The Real or Nots are interesting this week. The last one in particular, I'll tease it because we have somebody that we're gonna talk about briefly, who a bunch of y'all have commented about, and whether or not this person should get an opportunity now that Deuce McBride is out for at least a week, and given the current NBA climate, like could be longer due to the injury. But there's another guard on the Knicks, or on the Knicks roster, we'll say, who hasn't really gotten too much of an opportunity that I'm curious to see whether or not he will. But we got some work to do to get there. Do we have it in a doc?
It is, but I'm helping Tom. I think Tommy's got it, but if not, I'm putting it in the chat for him here as well too. So you can bring it up. But it was good. It was one of Bryan's first texts, and I was like, this is
remember it now. That's why I'm like, I don't remember it now at this point. I want to see.
I was like, this is kind of interesting. This should be interesting for Real or Not. Tommy, I think you've grabbed it, so if you could bring it up so we can show it to the people in another window.
By the way, do you want the line for Knicks Magic on Saturday?
You told it to me the other night. Has it moved?
It is still Knicks minus 4.5.
Oh, okay.
Oh, here we go.
All right, so here we go. What we have is these are some highlights. Ari Hawk-Porty. You see what he's doing?
Porty was working on the rain. Full game with Aroma. Hawk-Porty, end of shot clock with 4 made threes.
Is out here shooting threes. Okay? Out here shooting threes. You've not seen him do this, but he's working his outside shot. He did not hit 1-3. The first one was a long 2. That looked like a long 2. Foot was on the line there as well.
Getting
but
adjusted to the new spot,
is out here shooting. Now, Ariel Porter, who I thought has had some pretty good touch around the basket. He did make that first one there, the long 2. But is this something that he's working on? Is this something that Knicks fans might want to see? He's shooting threes. Now, look, you've already heard me. I said this the last time on the live show. I think the Knicks could think about maybe moving Mitchell Robinson for a couple of pieces. I also said this in our hot takes episode. I think they could do that to fortify their bench. We'll get into that a little bit later too. And maybe they're looking to get a center that's a little bit more versatile, like good enough defensively, but can give you a little bit more offensively. You know what helps offensively, guys? Hitting some free throws, which Ariel Porter can do at a better rate than Mitchell Robinson right now, shooting 20% from the charity stripe on the season. So, is this real or not? Ariel Porter shooting threes in Westchester. Is he going to do this in the real games? I don't want to say G League games are not real games, but in the games that count for the big club. I would like to note, I think it's important for me to note here, and I agree with you, East Blue Drew, the form looks good. Needs some more practice, but I like the fact that he's taking them in Westchester. I want to say that we have also seen Mitchell Robinson post videos, off-season workouts of him shooting threes when nobody was in the gym. So I'm not sure how much this matters, which is why I'm asking the question, does it matter at all? Is this real or not? Is this something we should be excited about? What do you say, Bryan?
I will say not. Because he was 0 for 4 in his G League career from 3. He is 0 for 4. In his NBA career from 3, he's 0 for 0. And even in Australia, 0 for 2. But I have found one legitimate sample size. I don't know what happened to Ariel Porter, but because remember, he's from Germany. He's played international ball for years. He's been a pro for several years at this point. There are barely any three-point attempts. And then in 2020, 2021, so this is before he signed to play in Australia. He was playing professionally in Lithuania. He was 13 for 47 from 3, 28%. Not great, but getting up the attempts.
47 attempts?
13 in 21 games. That's more than 2 attempts per game.
Yeah. Wait, what season was this?
In 2020, 2021.
Hey, listen. Hey, I know
came
what
out of
happened,
the
right?
during
Hold on,
the
I know what
COVID
happened.
year.
I understand what happened there. COVID happened. He's like, if I'm gonna go out, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what's gonna happen with the world. I'm gonna be out here shooting these threes, and if I hit, I hit. They gonna see me shooting threes before we don't know if we're gonna see basketball again. I'm gonna get these threes up. That's what happened. Ariel Porter started looking at life a little bit differently and said, you know what? Life is short. Time to get these threes up.
But then what happened? And then after he got the shot, he's like, you know what? Okay, fine. I feel ready to go back into the paint. I did my civil service.
Hey man, so I'm like, if he shot 47 threes in a 21 game span,
can I go season by season from 2018-19 to 2024?
Yeah, sure.
All international.
Sure.
3-point attempts. 1, 3, 47, 1, 1, 0.
Wait, he never again attempted double-digit threes in the season.
No.
Yo, I'm sticking to the COVID theory. Oh,
the
man,
4 that he did, the 4 that he shot in Westchester, I don't know if he got he got one of those 2K boosts before the game. Like you drink a shake and then your 3-point shot is up 5 points for this game.
Nah,
so
but here, can I say this? I agree with you. I don't think that I'm using air quotes here for people maybe listen to this. I don't think the 3-point shooting is real, but I think the fact that he's starting to attempt it in Westchester means something. I think someone in the coaching staff and development is telling him, expand your range a little bit. Or I'm gonna go you know me, I like to go a little deeper. Somebody looked at the numbers that Bryan just looked at, and they said, hey man, we gotta get you back to 2020, 21. We gotta get you back to where you were letting it fly from downtown, and you were not caring. We gotta get you back to that.
Stephen Bondi, friend of the show, if you're listening, just please ask Ariel Porter what happened in 2020, 2021 to see if Dexter's right.
If I'm wrong, the next time I'm in the Knicks locker room, which will be next Friday against the Sixers, I am going to ask him because I have to know. Yo, what happened? I'm gonna just be like, I don't know if this will be with other media members. If I have him, I get a chance to talk to him. I seriously want to know, and I'm gonna ask him about the 4 threes in Westchester. And that's crazy. That's
crazy.
That is insane. He's shooting over 2 a game.
Yeah, and he only made 28%, so that could be why he stopped. But look, to be fair, I do want to.
Mr. Robinson shooting 20% from the line. He's not gonna stop shooting free throws.
20% on free throws. Like Ariel Hukporti in the one season, he really shot 3. He shot better from 3 than Mitchell Robinson is currently shooting free throws. And I think this is why Mike Brown has kind of intimated. We talked about the quote in the past. Like he seems like he wants to find other solutions beyond just having to depend on the lack of offense and free throw shooting from Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah.
So I do wonder where this all leads. I personally don't think the 3-point shooting is real, but check back in a week because a couple more G League games and maybe Ariel Hukporti start. If he keeps shooting them, then I'm going to be like, oh, okay, this is legitimate, and we're going to have to see like what this translates to. It could be nothing, but if the attempts continue and he could go back to Lithuania Ariel Hukporti, then maybe we're getting some.
Hey, I'm just saying, you might rather take Ariel Hukporti's 28% from 3 in that COVID year than Mitchell Robinson's 20% from the line. You know, that's all I'm saying.
Math is
that's
math.
It. All right, let's move on to this. Oh, well, let me say, I don't think it's real, so I'm saying not, but I think it's something to watch.
Yes,
that's all I will say. I think it's something to keep your eye on. Yeah, I think it's something to keep your eye on. Okay, the Knicks. Guerschon Yabusele, has not had a really good start to his Knicks career, right? And he's averaging over 3 points and 2 rebounds a game. Some halves he's played limited minutes. Some halves we haven't seen Mike Brown play him. There could be some talk, and Stefan Bondi wrote an article around this today about whether or not he could just be a good fit. Maybe it's just not maybe just wasn't a good fit with him in the Knicks in Mike Brown's office. Maybe that is the case. December 15th is approaching. It's December 13th today. December 15th is important because it's one of the first days that a lot of free agents who signed in the offseason, not all, but some, become eligible to be traded. The next big date to watch after that is we officially, because we're about to get into, this is about to be real trade season now. It's also January. East Blue Drew says Yabus have been improving little by little. I say yes. He's had some moments. I thought he played good in the last Orlando game on Sunday. I thought he had really good minutes in that game, especially the first half stint. He had 2 big threes. But, yeah, some people might say, hey, this hasn't worked out. Do you think the Knicks should try to move on from Guerschon Yabusele, or should they stick this out a little bit more and let him rock? So is it real? Is it real that they should move on from Yabu, or is it time to give him some more time, see how this works?
I'm writing this out. It's still a little early, and I agree with East Blue Drew. He has looked a little better, like incrementally. It's very incremental, but I'm feeling more encouraged by the minutes. I expected more, frankly. Obviously, I think the majority of people observing this team did, especially as someone who talked up the acquisition this summer. Now, I do feel like the slow start wasn't too surprising. He had a very busy summer, leading the French national team in Eurobasket. They did not perform particularly all that well, but that wasn't a Guerschon Yabusele problem. That was a French national team problem, who has really underperformed sans the Olympics last year, underperformed in these major tournaments in this cycle. But he was the captain of that team, and that team didn't have their best. That being said, I think the leash has to be short now. Like I see where he's at in 2 weeks, like Christmas. And we do have an article actually up on the site about whether or not they should be looking forward to trade season at this point, and whether this is a Guerschon Yabusele needs a new home situation. I think because the Knicks are talented, and perhaps the most talented in the Eastern Conference, like you can kind of afford to ride this out. You don't really have to be rash and try to find a different solution right now. Also, I don't know if that solution is available to you right now on the roster. Like if you don't play him, like who are you playing? Like who are those minutes going to? That's kind of the other piece of this.
I'm riding this out too. I think he's a valuable piece that's going to get better. I think he's been trending the right way. I know overall it has not been good. I'm riding this out. I think it's way too early to do that. I know Steph wrote the article about it. And look, it's trade season, so you start thinking about these pieces you can move. Again, I think there's other pieces they can move to fortify the bench. I'm not sure if it should be Yabu. I just still think his skill set. Sometimes I'm like, let's give it a little bit more time. So I'm going to say no.
You're not selling high either. Like if
you're gonna have to attach a pick to move off of that, or a second or something. So it's like why?
It would be a salary dump to like a Washington or something like that. And there's like, what's the point of doing that? Especially if he's getting incrementally, like just ride it out for a little bit longer. And
you attach picks or a second to get players that could really fortify your bench, not just salary dump at this point where the Knicks are. So that's it. I gotta give a shout out to Luis Rivera in here, who is all about the Knicks winning the NBA Cup, and we'll see if they can get to the NBA Cup Finals if they win on Saturday. He says Thunder should let us Knicks get the cup, and we'll let them repeat in exchange.
Would you take that trade?
I mean, Luis, would you also let the Thunder get the cup, and you exchange to get the Larry O'Brien trophy? Because I think a lot of y'all would take that trade.
Obviously, but I think there's a reason he didn't say that, because he probably knows, like, look, man, beating that team is going to be hard, and harder in a series than in one shot.
Man. Hey, I think you should be excited about the cup. I think you should be rooting for the Knicks to get the cup. I think it matters that they're playing well in these big games. And I think it's a very good opportunity for the Knicks over the next couple of weeks to, if they continue to play well, to get themselves some separation and get to the top of the East. I think they can. I think they can. All right, last one, and we got to get up out of here. All right, talked about giving guys a look. This Bryan came up with this one. Deuce McBride's injury. I saw East Blue Drew in the chat talk about Dink Paint. No, we're not talking about Dink Paint. We're talking about Kevin McCullough Jr. Should the Knicks give Kevin McCullough Jr. a look now that Deuce McBride is out, at least for another week? Should they give him a look to see what he's got? He came in the other day, hit a nice three-pointer late in the game against Toronto. Not saying you should get excited about garbage time. I don't necessarily do that. But should you give Kevin McCullough a look, real or not? What do you say?
Real. Let's see.
I can't believe we're talking about Kevin McCullough.
Let's see it. Let's see it. Let's see it. I don't know whose minutes he's taking. Maybe Tyler Kolek, I guess. But like, I think because Mike Brown's done this before. Like, he'll find 7 minutes for Muhammad Diawara. He'll find 5 minutes for this guy, or 6 minutes for Ariel Hukporti. And it's like, I could see Kevin McCullough Jr. getting like a real stretch. Like, play him in the start of a second quarter for like 5-6 minutes. Deuce McBride is out. If you like what you see, maybe you bring him back at the end of the third quarter before the fourth. Like, don't play him when shit's like real. But he's 24 on a two-way contract. He's actually older than Tyler Kolek for 2 weeks. So he's another one where you want to know if something's there pretty soon. And there's an interesting skill set there. He's kind of he's a 6'6" wing, which is obviously interesting in a wing-driven league. He was solid at Kansas, like really solid at Kansas. There's a rebounding edge there from the guard spot that I'm interested in. There's this cutting that I feel like can work in this offense. There's a playmaking aspect to him too. Like, he's gotten a triple-double in the G League. He had an 8-assist game the other night in the G League as well in Westchester. I'd be interested in seeing what he can do. And part of winning on the margins, as we always talk about, is finding out. This was the secret sauce of the Heat when they got to the finals. This has been the secret sauce for even Dallas finding Ryan Nembhard on a two-way contract. Like, two-way contracts, like they can be the key sometimes. Dennis Jenkins for the Detroit Pistons this year. You know, Colin Gillespie was a two-way guy at one point. We're seeing what he's doing now. Like, there have been guys around the league. So I do think I would find a little bit of time for him just to see what he can do, because he's been in your system now. This is the second year. He hasn't really gotten much of an opportunity, but he has skills that I want to see if they're NBA skills, like the cutting, the potential defense. Maybe he could defend multiple positions. We'll see. The playmaking ability. We'll see where the shooting is going to be, because that's not the most consistent. I think there are minutes that you could find for him, especially in I wouldn't say in the NBA Cup, because we're expecting
but once you get back to the regular play,
because after this, you're in Indiana a week from today, and that's the front end of a back-to-back.
Yeah, after this, 8 of the Knicks, after the NBA Cup, if no matter what happens in the next couple of games, if they play the extra game or not, 8 of the next 11 games will be on the road. So it's very interesting. The schedule's been home heavy. It'll now shift to road heavy. It'll be interesting. Look, here's what I'll say. I agree with you. Yeah, sure. Why not? This is my question with a lot of this stuff. Why not? We've seen some minutes from Mohamed Diawara. I think that's been good for him. We've seen his raw athleticism. He played it last time in Orlando. Wouldn't shock me if you saw some Mohamed Diawara minutes and spurts tomorrow. But why not? Especially with Shamet out too. I think that's the other thing. We're talking about Deuce out, but Shamet's still being out.
That's true.
Why not? Mike Brown has liked to experiment, and I love that. I think it is the right thing to do. Is what you're supposed to use the regular season for. You're supposed to see what combos work. Can you find anything in players? I love that you brought up the Heat. The Heat do that. I think good organizations win on the margins. They find players. It's about the development. Give the kid a shot. Why not? I'm not even going to get deeper than that. Why not? Maybe he catches fire one night, plays some. He's going to make some mistakes. Of course, because it's basically like a rookie season for him. He's going to make some mistakes when he's out there on the floor. But I'm not against it. Look,
I play him in that Pacers game next week. 1,000%.
Yeah, East Blue said Pacers are all hurt, right? Like, yeah, but what have I
not
said
anymore?
They still have
a bunch of injuries, but not as many as before.
Benny, but what have I said all the time? It's like, when you want to, save your legs, you need your starters to take care of their business. You need to get your bench guys minutes against these lower teams that you're supposed to handle. Those are the spots to put them in. Pick your spots is what your point is saying. Pick your spots when you're playing the Pacers, when you're playing the Wizards, you're playing the Nets, who you'll see again coming in next month in the stretch. Get some Kevin McCullough burn in there. That's the time, and let's see what some of these guys can do. We'll see. Again, some of them are going to make some mistakes. But this is also an interesting time with these 8 of these next 11 games. The Knicks are going to be challenged. They have some good teams, some good comp in there on the road, particularly. Detroit's in that. Atlanta's in that stretch. Can they then move their way up the East? I feel like this is a very important stretch for the Knicks coming after the Cup and now. Can they move? And if you're a Knicks fan, I think you should be feeling good with how they played in the last couple of weeks, especially with OG out and now coming back. You're seeing the defense looking a little bit better. According to Cleaning the Glass, Knicks are 11th in defensive rating. They are 2nd in offensive rating. I've been saying all along, I still think they could be a top 8 to 10 defense, especially with OG back and them healthy. If they can get to that and they stay anywhere in the top 3 in offense, that's finals material of what you like in the team. Still some things to clean up. Still would like the bench to look a little bit better. But look, the fact that we even think Kevin McCullough Jr. being played is a possibility tells you the difference between the last 2 coaches. It is a huge difference. But this is an important stretch for the Knicks. The Knicks have been playing good basketball. They've won 8 out of the last 9 games. They play the Magic with a chance to go to the Cup final on Saturday. Ooh. Bryan and I will be in studio, live watch party with our special guest. Anthony Donahue will be joining us, rocking with us in studio. Will be a fun one. We'll be watching Knicks versus Magic. We'll see if Bane throws another basketball at somebody. If these teams scrap, we will see. Some of y'all going to say the Magic are dirty in the chat. We will see. But it'll be a fun one.
5:30 start also.
5:30 start. So 5:30, tapping with us, New York Post Sports YouTube channel. We'll let you know everything that's going on. Come watch the game with us. Should be a fun one. We'll talk with Anthony Donahue post-game. See, a lot of you excited in here. A lot of go Knicks. This has been one of the most positive chats I've seen for Knicks Weekly in the last couple of weeks. You guys are starting to, got some positive vibes going on. Not a lot of negativity going on. We'll see. Anyway, I've got to run. I've got to get up out of here.
We should get to this last comment from East Blue Drew because it's kind of what I'm getting at. It's like if McCullough plays well, he could end up taking Kolek or spot. And sure. Kolek's been fine. I think that's the best way to describe it. Like he's been fine, right? You would grade him a what? C, B minus, C plus.
I give him a C plus.
Yabu less than that. I mean. I don't think either of them have. I like if I'm making the Knicks playoff rotation, which is what you're trying to assemble the entire regular season. I think Yabu should be there, but he has not earned that yet. The contract dictates that he should be there, but he has not earned it with his actual play. And Kolek, I don't think has either. So it's like, hey, if McCullough, who's bigger than Kolek also and can show some playmaking, if he could give you a little bit more, like I'm interested in seeing what he can do.
Yeah, it did. No, and if he does take the spot, it'll be earned, and no spot is guaranteed. You know, maybe other than Jalen Brunson being the captain, there's nothing else guaranteed. It's not earned. Anyway, I got to get up out of here. I got to run. We thank everybody in the chat. We appreciate you rocking with us. Shout out to East Blue Drew. Shout out to you, Demario Montague. Who else was up in here? Greg Prime, 001. We had Luis Rivera, who wants that cup. We had some other people up in here. Kevin Grant, 695 was up in here. We appreciate all you for checking in. Thank you so much. We will see you guys on Saturday when we're in studio, 5:30 p.m. Knicks watch party. Tap in. It's going to be a really good and fun one. Got a game with some stakes early on a Saturday afternoon. Should be really fun. Because, I mean, what else are you going to watch? Not like you got some college football to watch. And I know y'all don't want to think about what happened this week with the Mets because that's depressing. And then you'll be even further depressed on Sunday when you got to think about the New York football teams. So don't do that. But luckily, I don't root for those teams. But that's that. But still, if you do when you watch this, tap into the post-game live for Big Blue Rush and Gangs All Here. You can do that as well. And then we'll have another episode for you on Monday that's coming out. Now, it'll be very interesting. Will we be previewing whether the Knicks are going to play the Thunder or the Spurs in the Cup final, or we'll be talking about what is coming up next for the Knicks? We will see. Either way, it'll be a very, very interesting episode coming up next week. We also will have some film. A lot of you have been asking for film breakdowns. We will be doing one of those next week. Yes. So that'll be coming through. Bryan and I are going to break down some film, how the Knicks have been looking really good. That'll come to you likely after the Cup final. We will drop that for you. Hopefully the Knicks are playing in that. Yes, we will see everybody Saturday. We appreciate everybody here. Bryan, be well. Yes. Everybody enjoy their weekend. We will see you Saturday. He's Bryan Fonseca. I'm Dexter Henry. Until next time, y'all. Peace.